The Cincinnati Bengals didn't just draft. They made a franchise-defining decision. They traded the number 10 pick for Dexter Lawrence. So here's the question. Did they just build a Super Bowl defense or make a biggest mistake of the decade? This is the Cincinnati Sports Scene, where real fans, real takes, and no fluffs. Quick episode roadmap here. We are going to be doing the Bengals all-in moves, Reds doing the unthinkable, our trivia, and listener involvement. So stick around, and we'll tell you if this is a Super Bowl move or a rebuild disguise. This is Cincinnati Sports Scene, episode number 170. All right, so welcome back, everybody. I am Dave, and he is Sam, and we are here talking a little bit about the Bengals draft. But before we do that, let's talk about the big trade that happened a couple of days before. Bengals traded their 10th overall pick to the New York Giants for Dexter Lawrence. I mean, you sent a text out to Crawley and I when it happened. I mean, tell everybody what your initial,
I was shocked that they traded a top 10 pick. I mean, that's not something that I can ever really remember seeing the Bengals do, especially a first round pick. I mean, they don't like trading 6th or 7th rounders. I mean, I know they ended up doing that again later, but I mean, that's just not something that I can ever really remember them doing. And then just to straight up trade it for a player, not even, hey, we'll get a couple extra picks, just a straight up trade was I was shocked. I like the move. I think Dexter Lawrence is really going to help the defense. I mean, he plugs up the middle. I mean, his double team rate was the highest in the NFL and has been like 3 out of 4 last seasons or something like that. I know people were down because he wasn't as productive sack wise, but I mean, you're getting double teamed 60% of your snaps. And you look at the Giants and you look at Thibodeau, their edge guy, who was a first round pick a couple years ago, who kind of been disappointing, had a career year last year. So, I mean, if you just kind of look at it from that perspective, we have Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart, Stewart was just a rookie, but both of those guys have been a bit disappointing, I would say, for being first round picks. So, I mean, if that can help them rush the passer, hey, I don't see how it's a bad move. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, when you sent that, and the first thought was I was like, whoa. You're right. It's been a long time since the Bengals traded their pick for anybody. I think it was a great move for the Bengals, and we'll get into the reasons why here in a little bit. But my initial reaction was, holy cow, they're going for it. And it's just to piggyback off of what you said about Dexter having a not as productive year last year. His shoulder or his arm was bugging him almost the entire year. So when you're getting double teamed and you can only use one arm, he still needed to be double teamed, right? And
let's be honest too. The NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles had 2 of the best offensive lines, in the Washington team, I mean, their offensive line was pretty good too. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's 6 games right there where you're facing top offensive linemen,
right?
And you come to the AFC North where there's not really good offensive lines in the AFC North right now. So, I mean, that's going to help him too.
Yeah. And then the other thing is Pro Football Focus, they graded him over his career, and he graded higher out than Aaron Donald did. Granted, it was towards Donald's.
Right, the end of his.
Yeah. And even it was a Super Bowl run year. I mean, he graded better than Donald during that time. So I think we're getting a proven player. We're getting, an all-pro, someone who can maybe help the outside guys just because of the way he goes about his business and doing some things. But I think the Bengals, they might be making the right moves. I don't know. So
I think they realize they have to win this year.
Well,
they can't not.
Right.
So.
And it wasn't really a draft move. It was more of a timeline move, right? Because if you take a look at this, and this is where I think you have to really study the draft, and you have to understand who could be there, who could not be there. And early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, everybody running their big boards, their last final mock draft, Bain and Downs weren't available for Cincinnati on all the major players. Now you had some people like us and smaller medium market people had Downs available for them. But if you look at it, two things, right? They passed on Bain Jr. and Downs because one, either they didn't think they were what they needed, or they didn't think they were going to be there. So that's why they made the trade. And the third thing is, are in this situation where if you're waiting on Bain and you're waiting on Downs, it could be 2 years, and 2 years could be too long to wait.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I mean, Bain doesn't really fit the physical profile that they like for their edge rushers. They like these big, tall, long freak athletes. And I mean, Bain's 6'3", which isn't short, but I mean, he had the smallest arms like ever. He's only 240, 250. He's not the big defensive ends that they typically go after. So I don't think they would have taken Bain anyways, even if they had the pick. I don't think that would have been their pick.
All right, so let's take a look at our overall grade for, well, first of all, for the trade. I mean, I think that's an A+. I mean, I really do. Especially now that you had a couple of days to look back and say, yeah, the Bains or Downs would have been the pick if we didn't trade. But I think you get somebody who can come and step in right now, right away, make your team so much better. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Then for the draft, they've got what, 1, 2, 3. It's 7 picks. They traded out of or back on the 4th round, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And picked up an extra pick, which helped them out there. So, overall, I think that was an A in my opinion. And so overall, I believe, they got an A for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there, B plus A, in that range. I would have liked to seen them address linebacker. Maybe they'll probably wait, see what veteran is still out there, maybe after cut day or something like that, I would imagine. Because, I mean, there's not going to be any big names. They're not going to make another trade. So I still think they need to address linebacker. I thought there was maybe a chance they'd have got Jacob Rodriguez with their 2nd round pick. But they went with Cassius Howell, who fits that profile as an edge rusher. Led the SEC in sacks last year. So I mean, he can get after it.
SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. Everything I was reading, he's kind of more of the Trey Hendrickson mold. He's getting after the passer. He doesn't do much in the run game, but you might not need him to with the addition of Dexter Lawrence, and Murphy and Stewart are more run defending ends than pass rushers. So if you can mix him in there on 3rd downs and just let him go get the quarterback as a rookie, I think that's good value for a 2nd rounder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I really like their 3rd round pick, the cornerback.
Yeah, Tacario.
They needed a big corner. It's 6'3" with those long arms. They needed that. So I'm excited about him.
Yeah, and they, then they addressed, one of the things that we talked about on our last show is they needed to find a backup for Karras or a replacement for Karras eventually. And Connor Lew out of Auburn, a lot of draft experts were saying he's probably the best center in college coming out. So you address that, and then you got Colby Young, who could be a very talented wide receiver out of Georgia. Got a little baggage, might remind me a little bit of the Burton situation where, you have this baggage and you hope that Burrow, Chase, and Higgins can take him under his wing and help him along the way. So we'll see where that goes. But he's another big receiver, 6'5", another target there, sort of like a T. Higgins built. And then Brian Parker, the 2nd offensive tackle out of Duke. They're probably might move him all over the line, just not keep him at tackle. I thought that was a good one. And then I think the steal of the draft was our first 7th round pick, Jack Endries, the tight end out of Texas. I mean, he's probably the best pass catching tight end, one of the best pass catching tight ends out there. And to get him in the 7th round, I mean, that was a good deal. And then Landon Robinson, another defensive tackle from Navy. And he had
I don't know how that'll work out, but
he had the most. I guess he had the most stops.
In terms of his naval service, I don't know how Navy if they'll let him or
I think they will.
him or what they'll do.
They will. I mean, I think they've.
I know they've done it in the past, and I think they usually do. I just can't really remember the
Yeah, they
last time
did.
it
I mean,
got there.
Napoleon McCallum. We're going way back. David Robinson, right?
But right, obviously,
I think
Robinson's
those
the
two
example.
guys. I could be wrong. Somebody out there, please.
There was their quarterback that Navy had. I don't know, Keenan Reynolds, I think.
Reynolds, yeah,
I mean, he didn't work out in the NFL, but I think they gave him a waiver maybe 10-ish years ago. He was
something
with
like
the
that.
Ravens, I want to say.
Yeah,
But I mean, I was just thinking of Villanueva from the Steelers, how he actually went and served first before he came to the NFL. So I just didn't know how that would play out.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, but overall, I think it was a great weekend for the Bengals. A great week, draft week. So yeah, any of the picks you really liked more than the others, or one that you like?
Mentioned it earlier, but I really liked the Takaria Davis pick. I don't know. I especially with the way receivers and the way tight ends split out now, you need to have a big athletic corner. And I know, DJ or Turner is going to be a good corner for us, but he's 5'10", $190.
Right.
So to cover these bigger receivers, or if a tight end gets split out, you need somebody big, long arms that can play some press coverage. I really like that pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like the center Connor Liu pick. I think you need to find a replacement because Karras he just has a 1-year deal, and after this year, Bengals are probably going to move on from him if Connor Liu pans out. So I like that. The head scratcher, I don't know if there was any head scratchers here. Maybe trading, in the 4th because a couple of linebackers were still on the board.
Yeah.
That you might have been able to get. But, they did pick up Dingle, free agent linebacker from the Bearcats there. I mean, there has been some free agents, undrafted free agents make the squad here in the last couple of years. So you never know. I mean,
Burfict was an undrafted free agent.
Right.
I know that's a little different reason why he was undrafted, but
well, there was who was it? There's a couple of them just recently. I can't. Trace Anderson or something like that.
Tyson Anderson.
The Tyson Anderson.
Yeah.
Couple of them here recently, but I guess this draft here in the trade, to me, I believe this is a 2-year Super Bowl window or bust, and I'll tell you why. Because you've got, Dexter Lawrence he signed a 3-year extension, or an extension, so it gets 3 years, and then, like I said, Karras is going to be gone. I don't know about Orlando Brown Jr. I mean, he's going to be getting close to that. Burrow's contract is going to be coming close to an end. Chase's contract, Higgins' contract. So 2 years, right? If they don't win a Super Bowl in 2 years, I say you blow it up. I say you trade Burrow, get what you can, get as much as you can for him, start this whole thing all over again. Zach Taylor is not the guy, obviously, then blow it all up and start over. If this doesn't pan out. Obviously, if it pans out, keep it going.
Right, yeah, you keep going. I mean, and for me, it's not, I'd love for them to win a Super Bowl, but if they don't, I don't think it's necessarily blow it up. But I mean, if you miss the playoffs in either of the years, or if you're a first-round flame out, the expectations are a lot higher for this team. Just making the playoffs aren't good enough. They need to make runs, ideally a Super Bowl run, just because we need a championship in this city. We just do. So, the FCC is not going to get it done. We'll see about the Reds, but I mean, the Bengals, 3 straight years, it's just been a disappointment. That's not good enough. That's just not good enough. So yeah, I mean, they've got to make that run.
Yep. Well, I don't know what's crazier, the Bengals going all in or the Cincinnati Reds quietly becoming one of the toughest teams in baseball. So let me ask you this, what are we watching with this team? I mean, is it, I can't describe them. I mean, write them off for dead and they come back from 5 Friday night, rain delay, and then they blow them out on Saturday, and they took one on the chin today, but it wasn't the fault of Louder. I mean, he pitched well. He had, the bullpen they're going to have those days, right?
Yeah, it happens.
And we weren't hitting very well today. So what are we watching with this team? I mean, they're
it's very similar to the summer of 2023 when all those guys got called up.
Mhm.
I think they're playing with that energy that they did then. I mean, obviously, it's just Sal, as far as the young guys go, who's new to the team. But I mean, he's been their best hitter. I think that when your youngest player, when your rookie is your best hitter, everybody else kind of has to step up their game, right? And I mean, Ellie's had a great start to the season. Dane Myers has been surprisingly good. I've really liked what I've seen out of him.
Yep.
Lowe's homered in 4 straight games now that he's getting some run, with Suarez going to the IL. So, I mean, I think it's guys that are having fun playing baseball, and they saw the first 3 weeks just how dominant our pitching staff was. And, the offense decided, hey, we can win games if we score
Mhm.
more than 5 runs. We're a 90-win ball club. And then the off chance, like Friday night where the pitchers give up 7 or 8, if we're good enough, we can still win the ball game. And so, I mean, that's something that I've really enjoyed watching them and listening to listening to the games this year, which I've done a lot of. It's been exciting so far. In the past 2 weeks, they've actually hit pretty well.
They have.
It's
They've started to hit.
not a bunch of 2-1 ball games anymore. They're starting to put the ball in play a little bit. I think it excites the fans, and when the ballpark's excited, the team's going to play better.
Yeah, and as we talked about it early on, all these 2-1 games, 2-0 games, 3-1, they are unbelievable in 2 runs or less, right? I mean, I think they won 11 to 0 in that. They're what are their extra inning games? Are they undefeated in that too?
They've already won more this year than they did all of last year in extra innings.
Innings. So it's it's a different mindset. It's a different team than what we're used to. Yeah, it does remind me a lot of the 2023 team. And also, I mean, this was Crawley will probably get mad at me for saying this, but this 99 team, right? Where, they were a bunch of young kids, had a couple of veterans, and they took Major League Baseball by storm. Nobody picked them to do anything. And here they are going down to the wire, 1-game playoff back then when we had that. And, it was just this belief. And when you get young guys believing in themselves and believing in each other, good things can happen, right? I mean, obviously you look at Friday night, the comeback kids. I mean, they just and the Tampa Bay, they got into the bullpen of Tampa Bay and they won the ball games. And speaking of bullpens, my early doubt with this team was the bullpen was shaky for me, right? Because I wanted to make sure Sam Maul was doing well. Wanted to make sure that these new guys, Burke and Pierce Johnson, could hold up under the stress, and Ashcraft, and can Santillan do it again? What about Pagan? And well, they proved me wrong. And yes, they didn't do great today. Maul gave up a home run. Pierce Johnson gave up a home run, but the Tigers got a really good lineup. I mean, they do. If you look at it, so they're going to score some runs this year. And Sam Maul had 10. He retired something like 30 or 20, 32 straight batters at one time. Hasn't given up a home run yet until today. Yeah. And so things like this, like today's game, is going to happen because this is baseball. Santillan didn't give up a run until that implosion the other day. It happens in this game. You can't be perfect all the time. So, I think they just don't panic. And, I don't think they're just hot. I think they're actually good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they've proved that they're a good ball club.
And the National League Central is...
Oh, it's frustrating that we've been that good and then everybody else is above 500. Come on. The Cubs won 10 straight before they lost yesterday, and it's
but the Cubs lost like 7 out of 10 before that, and then all of a sudden they go on this 10-game winning streak, right? You just look and you're like, can we just run away from somebody?
Yeah, you would think we'd have pulled a little bit away, be a couple games up, but no, we're like 2 games right there.
Yeah, we're like 2 games up on the Brewers, who are in last place.
Yeah, and they're not going to stay in last place.
No, they're not. They're not. So, give us your take on a couple of things, right? The Bengals draft. What did you think about the draft? What did you think about the trade? Let us know in the comments below. Is there anybody that you would have taken besides what the Bengals got? Also, the Reds. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We're going to be moving into our trivia segment. We'll see who knows Cincinnati sports. I've got the question this week. And earlier, Sam, you said you don't think you ever remembered the Bengals trading out of their first round pick, and you would probably be right because they haven't done that since 1989. So they traded their 27th pick to the Atlanta Falcons for pick number 35 and number 89 of that year's draft. So my question to you, Sam, and to everybody listening out there is, who did the Bengals take with that 35th pick in the 1989 draft?
In 89? Oh.
Yeah, it's probably not fair for you.
Yeah, I got no idea. Let's see. So, I mean, you're going to have to give me a hint. Were they was it at least a notable player that played a little bit for the Bengals?
He played 6 years for the Bengals.
Was he good or decent at least?
He was a fullback, running back out of UCLA, I believe. He's got like 600 career yards.
Yeah.
Third down specialist, more or less. Nothing. I thought it was a good pick at the time because he was above average in college. I said, all right, and back then everybody valued running backs.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not going to know the answer to this. So this is going to go out to the listeners.
So if you can help Sam, go ahead and drop your guess in the comments. Don't look, please. The real tough one was number 89. I didn't even hear of that guy, so I wasn't even going to. I mean, if I didn't hear of him, I'm like, no, I'm not even going to drop that one out of there. But so if you don't want to know the answer, go ahead and mute us now. Take off the words on the screen. So the 35th pick, the Bengals took out of UCLA, Eric Ball. Eric Ball was the running back there. All right. Before we get out of here, like I said, leave your comments if the Bengals messed up this draft or did they win the draft? Let us know. Also, if you made it this far, you're the real ones. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow the show. And next episode, we're going to be talking probably a little bit of playoff happening out there in the sports world. We've got the NBA playoffs starting and the NHL playoffs. So if you're a basketball fan or a hockey fan, stick around. You might learn something, or we might learn something for next week. So until then, I'm Dave. That's Sam. Everybody take care.